Beverly with MUSE TV, and I am here with Andre Welsh, Kaell, Jeffrey Lower, and Jelani Clanton. So I know, actually, I'm unsure. Are we missing somebody?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think yeah, Jeffrey couldn't make it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can still continue, but let's get right into it. So I want to start it off with Andre Welsh. So you are the writer and the director, am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what inspired you basically to do this horror thriller film?
Originally, it wasn't even going to be a thriller per se. I wanted to do a movie about a character who was being gentrified out of San Francisco, who had just lived there for a long time, kind of had a rough life. And then I started coming up with like the backstory. And then I realized, wait, I kind of want to do a thriller. So then I wanted to keep the gentrification part of it, but do a thriller kind of plot line. And then kind of weave in how gentrification affects all the different characters within the film. And then, the antagonist is a psychopathic venture capitalist, kind of representing the tech industry. So just kind of weaving it all together, and yeah.
Can we talk about the brass knuckles? I think that played a major role in this whole film. What was the point of all that? What was the major point of having that specific?
Yeah, so the brass knuckles, I basically, when I write scripts, a lot of times I try to avoid guns as much as possible. So there are some guns in this film, but I felt like brass knuckles were just such a personal weapon, for the antagonist to use. And it's such like a punishing way to obviously kill somebody. So I just kind of settled on that, and I was like, well, I mean, it seems like something he might go for. And also, when the producers read the script, they felt like it was the perfect thing for him. So yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I actually really like that. That was like the main concept of the whole movie. I was just like, that's interesting. I've never heard of anyone using brass knuckles to kill somebody. It's always, like you said, guns or knives or any of that. So that was definitely interesting. Good job on that for sure. Okay, so a couple questions for the actors now. Let's start off with Ron. What was your impression when you first read the script?
Well, again, I've been reading the script since the beginning, and it has changed so much. But from the first time I read the first version of the script, Andre had sent it to me, and I just couldn't believe how the dialogue and the tone of the movie, everything with Andre jumps off the page while you're reading it, which is, to me, just it's a great talent to have. Some you really have to hear it out loud, but to me, everything jumped out at me and everything worked for me from the beginning. And I just, I'm so appreciative and so thankful that I've been able to work with this cast and crew, and Andre, Jelani, and I've done a couple of things together, and I'd drop anything to work with Andre Welsh.
Oh,
okay, Jelani, what was your first impression on when you read the script for the first time?
I thought it was great. I thought that it was, once again, Andre, creating something that gave social commentary and also his interpretation of what we want to look at, these kind of toxic characters, these protagonists and antagonists, in a world where they're just responding to the maximum carnage and economic warfare that has been kind of waged on all of us.
Right. Perfect. That's a great example for sure. So here's a director and writer question for you now, Andre. How is it like being the director and the writer at the same time? Like, that's definitely a big, step in this type of field.
Yeah, I've done more directing than I have writing, so I've written a handful of scripts, but but yeah, I would say it's all on you if you're the writer and the director. And in this case, I was also the DP. It's just kind of all on you. Like you got to just have the answers when people have questions, and sometimes you're coming up with stuff on the fly, and you just got to roll with it. So there was a lot of stuff that we changed on the fly because we had to. You know, the location wouldn't quite be the same as what was in the script, so you change it last minute. You know, we did a lot of guerrilla shooting as well. So yeah, you just have to be ready to just cut out what's in the script and just, you know, adapt. So I would say that's the biggest thing.
Right. Perfect. Question for Jay. Well, Jelani, also known as Jay in the movie. What was it like playing the role that you did? I mean, you were an Uber driver, and somehow it turned into you guys figuring out who the killer was, right? So
Right.
how was it playing that? Like, how did you prepare yourself for the role that you had?
Well, the one cool thing is that, see, you know, me, usually when trying to get prepared for a certain role, I always like to go to the source material. Fortunately for me, Andre wasn't just a filmmaker, but he was also the screenwriter. So being able to have a lot of conversations with him, you know, for weeks at a time leading up to our first days of filming was what really helped me prepare for this role. You know, asking him different things, you know, everything from how he saw the character speaking, you know, his sometimes his body movements, and how he saw himself in connection to the other characters in this kind of hypnotic dream world that they were all living in.
Right. How about you, Ron? How was your experience, and how did you prepare for the role that you played? Because your role, I feel like, was definitely the main role. You know, you were the main character, I feel like, in this movie, and you had a lot of ups and downs throughout your whole journey. But how did you prepare yourself specifically to play the role that you did?
Well, the best way to prepare when you work with Andre is be on time and show up, because the words are there, the direction's there, the talent's behind you. And for Pete himself, and we had talked about this, and again, things changed a little bit from the original script. For instance, the police officer played by Danny Roebuck was actually my brother in the first maturation of the script. But Pete really is an everyman, and I tried to make him an everyman. And what I have learned from Andre very, very well is there's an old adage, you know, less is more. And Andre is very good at that. It may take you the 47th take, but let's do it again. Let's slow it down. And, you know, so to be able to do that and have everything pretty much kind of, you want it to come through your eyes, you want it to come through your soul. And Pete, I always call him poor Pete. I mean, the poor guy, one step forward, three steps backwards for the last 30 years of his life. And
Right.
in the end, he's forced to seek revenge where he was at a point in his life where he was done with seeking revenge, and it's kind of forced upon him. So
Yeah. Adding on to what you're saying, Ron, Andre, I think that it was a plot twist. You made a plot twist in the whole movie with Harry. I mean, it was just crazy how it went from them trying to find out who the killer was and it leading to him being the killer, not only to the owner of the liquor store, but also to Ron's wife. What was your point of that?
Well, I think it was just, you know, trying to connect the dots with having, you know, kind of a road rage incident that happened in the late 80s or early 90s, or yeah, whatever it was, 30 years earlier. And having that as a plot device that helps connect Pete to what's happening currently. And I think also just I see road rage all the time. I mean, we all experience a little road rage sometimes, of course. But I think just like the moral of the story, just showing that you never really know who you're messing with. Sometimes it's better to just let things go and don't engage with people. So that was kind of the moral of the story for Pete, I think. And he never really quite got over that. He never really forgave himself.
What were your expectations going into the movie and your end goal as well?
Yeah, I think it was, we were shooting with a limited budget, as so many independent films do. So I think just really trying to stay on target with the budget, which means, certain things you got to cut back. We had very limited, crew on set, which, sometimes made certain days hard, but other days easier because we could just pack up and leave and go to the next thing. And you didn't have, as much equipment and people to feed and things you had to take care of in between scenes. So I think it allowed us to work quicker. So, but with that said, it still was, you never really know if you're gonna, finish on time and on budget and all that. So, so I was just happy once we got it all in the can. And then obviously I would say post-production was my biggest lesson, because I did underestimate post-production in terms of just how much goes into it. I myself work, doing editing work, but when you start adding in the sound mix and the color correction, and the composer, hiring a composer and everything that goes into that, it's a lot. So yeah, it can be overwhelming at times.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems as though it was. Did you guys actually film during the pandemic when it first started, or was it way before the pandemic?
Way before. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We shot it mostly in 2017. We did, so we shot like the first half of the film in kind of springish 2017. Then we had to cast Harold. So originally we just started shooting. We're like, okay, we'll figure out who's going to play Harold later. So we shot mostly the Jay and Perez and Pete stuff at that point. And then we auditioned, I think 65 people, found Jeff Lower. He was right for the part. And then we started shooting his stuff, I think the fall, winter of 2017. So it was a long process. And then, we did pickup shots for a while. Ron will tell you, Ron and Jelani will both tell you, we did quite a few times. Hey guys, you want to go to the city real quick? You want to get some more pickups? So yeah, and a lot of that you don't really know that you need it until you start the editing. So there, we've all worked together on various projects in the past, so they kind of know how I work. A lot of times, you just come up with something better. Like, hey, it would be better if we got a shot of you in this car and you get out over here. It's a better looking shot or whatever. So yeah, so it makes it take longer, but I think in the end it's worth it.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like it was a great process for sure. So questions for Ron and Jelani. Basically, what was the biggest challenge about taking on the roles that you guys did, and how was it like working alongside each other?
A pleasure for sure on the working together. I would work with Jelani any day of the week, and hands down, whether I had a script or not. Just give me a situation with him, and we'll be off and running for sure. But the biggest thing for me was you're looking at a guy that during the entire filming of this, what I have, my hip got replaced 3 times. We had to use that because I hadn't had my hip replaced when we first started filming. So I was in a lot of pain. So my hip's been replaced 3 times. I had a heart attack, and I'm still here. So, and the beauty of in the very first time you see me in the movie, speaking of all his pickups, at some point I get a phone call and, hey, we need you at a bus stop. First time you see me in the film, I'm 62. At the end of the film, I think I was 59, 58, something like that, 59. So yeah, long time in coming and well worth it. Again, this is Andre's first feature film, and I just think it is I love calling this a film because I think it's a piece of art, and it's not just a horror movie or a noir movie or anything. I think it gives itself its own tone that Andre is really great at.
Appreciate it.
How
Yeah,
about
I would
you,
say,
Jelani?
I truly enjoyed it. Consider myself very fortunate to know Andre, Ron, and everyone else that we worked with on a personal and also professional level. You know, the pleasure and the honor is really all mine. I really had a great time. And, you know, when I think about, you know, maybe things that I had going on personally, but then, you know, when we look at like what Ron was just saying, you know, different things that he was experiencing, and, you know, sometimes others of our cast and crew and production team were going through, it makes what we want to call challenges, you know, just seem very small, minuscule, to where, you know, they're almost non-existent. So, you know, I just really had a beautiful time. This was a beautiful experience. And, you know, definitely look forward to working with everyone again, you know.
And
That's great.
let's not forget, Andre had a baby. His wife had a baby in the middle.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, she's 3.5 now, so that kind of puts things in context. But but yeah, and of course my daughter, well, my wife's water broke while we were shooting some night scenes in LA. It was actually the alley scene with Brass Knuckles, and we were on the 5th setup or something at like, I don't know, midnight, 1 a.m. and I was like, my water broke. And I was like, okay, I guess we're done.
What did you guys do? Did you guys like stop and say we have to continue tomorrow, or how?
Oh yeah, we continued like 2 months later, I think. Yeah, there was no time. That was yeah.
You're like, I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's 2 months later.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, my wife would not be happy if I did that.
No, congratulations though.
Thank you.
Well, it was definitely a pleasure to meet all of you guys. The cast from Disrupted came out in November of 2020. I definitely enjoyed the film. It was a really, really great film. 10 out of 10 for sure. I think everyone's characters went really well. It played very well. It just seemed very like, wow, like just, I don't know how to say it. It's just speechless is what I'm trying to say. Like very speechless moments for sure. Is there anything that you guys would like to say before we end our interview?
My sister, when she came to see this film and she had the pleasure of seeing it and then seeing it again, her tagline is #disrupted, #see it twice, because you missed too much the first time around.
#binge watch it for the whole rest of the year. No, definitely a great movie. Where can anybody find this movie?
It's on pretty much most of the platforms. It's on Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, Vudu, just came on Tubi, I believe. And
Comcast
Xfinity, yeah.
Dish Network.
Dish, yeah. You guys know this stuff better than I do.
Fandango, yeah.
Perfect, that's amazing. Well, it's a pleasure to have interviewed all of you guys. Thank you guys so much for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.